Good morning, all dignitaries and all participants. Respected Srimati Mansi S. Shivani, Joint CEO of Scope, and our today's speaker of this webinar, Dr. Rachna Gandhi, Assistant Professor of K School of Business Management. On behalf of Scope, I welcome you all for the webinar on effective communication key to success. Now, I would like to invite Mansi ma'am, Joint CEO of Scope, to start the program. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Dipti. Thank you very much. Good morning, all of you. Developing a strong communication skill is essential when it comes to building a successful career. Your communication skills play a key role in your personal life too. Although communication itself seems simple, often when we try to establish communication with others, there is always a chance for a lack of understanding that might cause conflicts and frustrations in personal and professional life. Nowadays, communication skills are the most demanded soft skills that employers are looking for in their employees. It is such a powerful tool that it can destroy or enhance your career. You have ideas, clues, thoughts. They should be correctly communicated. If you don't have command over communication skills, there are chances you may lose opportunities. There is no age to learn or master any communication skills. Even a child can master it, or even if you are in 10th, 12th, or in college, you are never late to do new things or learn new things. We do not want the youth of Gujarat to miss this opportunity because of lack of communication skills. And today, with this motto, Scope has invited a speaker who will help you to improve communication skills. She is Dr. Rachna Gandhi, Assistant Professor in KA School of Business Management. Before welcoming her, I would like to thank Honorable Principal Secretary, Higher and Technical Education, Srimati Anju Sharma Madam, for providing guidance and constant support to Scope team. And I am thankful to Shri A.U. Patel Sir, Advisor KCG and former Vice Chancellor of Gujarat University, who has contributed a lot in the world of education. I am also thankful for his support he has provided to Scope. I am thankful to Director of Higher Education and CEO of Scope, Shri M. Nagarajan Sir. Because of his vision and support, Scope has brought various activities to you. Sir has a vision for our youth and he always motivates the youth. He always inspires students that they should not panic while speaking English. It is not a rocket science. Little efforts and practice will make miracles and Scope is always with you. It is an initiative of Government of Gujarat and it is established to enhance your capabilities in English. Scope offers two types of examination, namely CPT and Lingua Skill. And for that, we provide trainings also. Cambridge English is our assessment partner, and after clearing examination, you will get internationally renowned Cambridge certificate. So I'm very much grateful that Dr. Rachna Gandhi has joined us and she will give knowledge on how to improve your communication skills. Srimati Dipti Gadvi will give her full introduction. Thank you and welcome Dr. Rachna Gandhi. I welcome you to Scope. Thank you.
Thank you, Mansi ma'am. As Mansi ma'am said, communication effective with our today, as Mansi ma'am said, communication is not only important at the workplace, but also in our daily life. Let's understand how to make communication effective with our today's speaker, Dr. Rachna Gandhi. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Rachna Gandhi, Assistant Professor of K School of Business Management, Gujarat University. Dr. Rachna Gandhi is a management faculty at MBA Department of K School of Business Management, Gujarat University for the last 16 years. She is the program coordinator at K School of Business Management. She is also corporate trainer and has conducted several training programs on organizational behavior and soft skills. She is also the author of The Young Emperors of the Market, The Growing Pastor Power, published by Lambert Academic Publishing based at Germany in 2015. She has published several articles in national and international journals. She has received gold medals twice for scoring first rank in BBA and MBA programs by Gujarat University. I would request Dr. Rachna Gandhi to share her experience and knowledge with us. Yes, Rachna Gandhi, ma'am.
Thank you, Dipti. That was such a beautiful floral welcome, I would say. Good morning, all of you. It is indeed a very pleasant morning. At the outset, I would like to thank the highly revered Shri A.U. Patel sir, advisor KCG and the former Vice Chancellor of Gujarat University, respected Shri Nagarajan sir, Director of Higher Education and CEO Scope, and Srimati Mansi Shivani, Joint CEO of Scope, for providing me with such a warm welcome and providing this wonderful platform for me to engage with the youth of the current times. As it is rightly said, a wise person speaks because he has something to say, and a not so wise person speaks because he has to say something anyways. Well, it's only the end of the lecture will provide you with an evidence whether I fall in the former category or the latter one. But yes, as Mansi madam repeatedly reinforced earlier in her talk, that communication is the need of our today. Abraham Lincoln had said that if I had to cut a tree within 8 hours, I would rather take 6 hours to sharpen my axe. My dear friends, do you realize what is this sharpening of axe in the current times? It is nothing but grooming your personality. And the sharpest weapon to groom your personality could be your communication skills. It enhances your persona. It gives you a lasting influence on the minds of others. And at the max, it gives you a way to express your inner feelings, which would otherwise be hidden forever. So now the current session is on effective communication. We all have been listening to this word communication again and again ever since we were in school or in college or maybe even in our current jobs. But do you ever realize what is effective communication? So for this, I would like to tell you that as we all know, communication follows a proper channel, right? From the sender to the receiver, right? There are various steps of encoding and the message flowing through the medium and then the message being decoded. So effective communication, friends, is that communication which was sent by the sender and is received by the receiver exactly the same way as it was intended to be understood. Supposing I tell my son, Beta, please give me a glass of water, and he brings a glass of water to me with no water inside, assuming કે મમ્મી તે તો પાણીનો ગ્લાસ માંગ્યો છે, પાણીનો ગ્લાસ ભરેલો એમ નથી માંગ્યો. Now here you see what I instructed him to give me was water, but what he gave me was just a glass which has no water. So here, friends, is the lack of effective communication. So there is a beautiful coordination. If you just look around the world, just look at the animals and birds, right? And there is one thing that is like a startling revelation to all of us. None of these animals and birds ever get enrolled for a school program or a college a degree course, but just look at the beauty of their communication. Most of their communication with the minimum sounds that they have been awarded by the grace of nature, right? Most of their messages are encoded and decoded in the most effective way. A monkey gives an alarm signal to his entire troop and they know there is a danger around. A lion roars in the most effective manner to be understood by the rest of the lions in the pride that he is the most powerful, the king of the jungle. Dogs bark to scare off the strangers. And yes, birds chirp to attract their mates. All these sounds are converted into most effective messages and are decoded exactly the way the sender intends them to be decoded as. But look at human beings. We have more than 5 lakh words in the Oxford Dictionary, my friend. The English language itself has more than 5 lakh words registered in the Oxford Dictionary, and yet the biggest problem that we face on earth is miscommunication. Communication almost having its ineffective role, or communication not being used to its adequate levels. So here I would want to share my little bit, I would say, thoughts on how you could improvise on your communication. Every single being will be using communication and would want to always use it in the most effective fashion, whether he is a student or he's doing a job, or even a housewife who constantly has to negotiate her terms with the maids around. So friends, allow me to share a PPT to engage you further. Just a second. So I again would like to reinforce the fact that the session for today is to improvise on the effectiveness of communication. As we all know that we have been communicating ever since we were born. But then there are certain tips which would make it effective. Now, when I talk about communication, it is a hell lot of words which throng me. There is body language, there's gesture, there's grammar, there's punctuation, there's different country and different context wise. There are gestures, body language, eye contact, and so many complicated things, just all enrolled in this word communication. So now let's try to understand what is effective communication and what is efficient communication. So now when I say what is effective communication, you would, as you could rightly see here, if the message, if the inputs are registered in the right fashion, right, as the output, that is, the sender's message is decoded in exactly the same way by the receiver, then the communication is effective. But then what is efficient communication? With the minimum possible resources, that is minimum possible use of words or time, if the message can be decoded in the most adequate fashion, then the communication is efficient. I would just once again want to have a check from Dipti if I'm audible well enough.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible enough.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. So this was to confirm that my messages are being received in the right fashion, so that I can ensure that my communication is effective. Yes. So as you can see, the circle showing the input in the efficient communication with minimum possible words, the message is well delivered. That is doing the things right. That is efficient communication. So ever thought, what is efficient communication? Just look at this picture. This could be the first picture of your life, maybe my life, and everybody else on earth. When the baby is born, what is the first thing that it does? What is the first activity that it does? It cries. And why does it cry? It has to announce to the world that it has arrived. And here it is. It is the most efficient communication that you can ever start with your life for. The reason being, the moment the baby cries in the operation theater where it is being delivered, all the guests, all the relatives, the father, the family come to know that there's this new life which has entered their own full family. And everybody is happy to listen to this news. And this is the baby's way of announcing its arrival. Just look at it. One cry and there you go. The most efficient, the most effective communication. Now, if you look at this, there could be other examples also of efficient communication. Have you ever seen the soldiers? I mean, if you have seen them in the movies, the soldiers on the border, they use just one word or half a word sometimes, and the messages are well delivered. The commander-in-chief would shout at them, attack, withdraw, and there all the words are well understood and the actions are reciprocated in the best possible manner. So this talks about effective and efficient communication. But just look at us. When we lead our lives, we have so many words to express our feelings, We have so many channels, the social media, the written messages, the oral messages, and many more. But yet we fumble. So communication can either start or solve a problem. It is good if it can solve a problem, but our problems will be multifold if it starts a problem. Miscommunication, wrongly interpreted messages, intentions not being registered properly. These are all the sources of how communication in itself can be a bottleneck in relationships. So now let's try to understand the importance of communication in our day-to-day lives, whether it is all our routine activities or let's say whatever profession we choose to, whether it is hospitality, call centers, selling a good, translation services, interpreter services. You want to be a YouTuber and advertising agent, right? You want to enter healthcare, event management, name an industry, and I'll prove you that most of them are based on effective communication. So your success in the job, your success in the career, your success in your personal and professional life also banks on how effectively you can communicate. Friends, have you heard about something called the punishment and the types of punishments given in the olden days? Well, I was just reading in some ancient history that one of the best ways that the Roman emperors thought of giving the punishment to the prisoners or the criminals was by making them detached from all the worldly communication. So while the prisoner was given a prison, a cell, right, with a small hole which could allow the light to pass, the basic necessity of life, the light, the air, and another hole where he would be no sent the food, the minimum, the bare minimum food reserved for the prisoners. The cell saw to it that he would not be able to see the face of any live creature, any live human being around. And this would continue for days and months till the time the prisoner would be mentally feeling the torture of being detached from all the world communication. Now you see, this was the most, it would be considered to be the most severe punishment to be awarded to the prisoners, because they believed that if you can detach the communication from the human beings, if you could detach them from their social environment, that would be the most rigorous, or that would be the most severe punishment that could be given to them. So this was the height of how you can have the prisoners go crazy by not allowing them to communicate with anybody, right? Moving further from the punishment zones to now understanding what is communication. As you know, communication is a skill. It has to be developed, it has to be mastered, and you will see the results in your life. You have to work on it. See friends, just like your other skills, maybe your computer skills, your IT skills, or your engineering skills, your managerial skills, you all would agree to the fact that communication in itself is a world full of fascination. By constant trial and error method, you'll come to know what works in one situation would not work in another situation. So it has to be consciously developed, just like any skill, and over the years you'll be able to master it. But yet, जैसे शिवानी मैम, मानसी शिवानी मैम ने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले बताया हमें, where she was talking about how English could be helpful. I was just thinking that if you had to put it in these ways, this is the best I could have described it as. Whereas communication is a skill which is not limited by any particular language, right? When you talk about English, English is a language which has to be learned. Just like any other language, it has its own set of rules. It has its own set of grammar, punctuation, intonation, and various other rules that have to be kept in mind when you want to learn a language. So these days you have a lot of apps, you have a lot of coaching classes which teach you to understand and then speak in English. But again, friends, remember, English is just a language. What you have to master ultimately in your life is communication, be it English, be it Hindi, or even your vernacular language like Gujarati. But now, if I had to explain what is the importance of English in our lives, this is what I would want to say. English is a powerful tool to exchange your thoughts. Most of us use a lot of internet, a lot of social media, a lot of other external books, and most of them happen to be in English. Of course, you have books published and newspaper almost in all vernacular languages, but the greatest content lies in the medium of English. Of course, there are translations also available nowadays. But if you knew a little bit of English or maybe even more, there you are ready to conquer the world. Just look at this in this way. How would I explain what is the power of English? Look at this picture, and I'm sure all of you are wondering why almost suddenly from the terrains of explaining the importance of language, I am moving around in a mall. Yes, this is a picture of a mall. There are so many shops, a lot of visitors, a lot of shoppers. Now just imagine during this time, like in Ahmedabad, when I've been to Central Mall or Alpha Mall, I saw a lot of hoardings, a lot of posters telling me that there is sale, there is a discount sale almost everywhere. So there is 50% off. There's a lot of merchandising that is being displayed by the retail stores. A lot of beautiful dresses, ornaments, accessories, purses, bags, footwear, mobiles, and a lot of other things. Now just imagine on one fine morning, you felt like shopping, right? And you have enough of purchase power to shop also, right? Let's say your father, your parents, or anybody else, or you sponsored your shopping spree, and you have some 20,000 rupees with you and you want to shop. And you just go to this one of these malls. It is just a perfect morning to shop. It is cold, it is pleasant, and you are in the right mood to shop. There are a lot of fascinating things, and you want to make your best purchase decisions. And at the top of it, there is this discount sale, which is so very alluring. The moment you go to all these stores, you realize that you forgot all your money at home. Now, what do you do? Supposing this was a distant mall and there is no way you could come back just to collect money. Now, what you would do? You would go to all the stores, look at all the fascinating things, but you know that you cannot shop. Similarly, friends, I feel communication is that exchange. Just as if you do not have money and you cannot exchange it for the desired goods and services you want, right? You have to come home empty-handed. Similarly, in your life, when you want to go on the route of progress, you want to excel at your work, you want to excel in your family lives, you want to do good professionally, personally, and you feel you are not a good communicator, you end up being a loser in this wall, right? So you have a lot of people, you have a lot of relationships, you have a lot of activities to do, but you are not able to communicate and you cannot shop for those happiness. Supposing I gave you the plastic card and I just bump into you, I'm your old friend or relative, and I give you my credit card and I give you the limits, or you can go up to 50,000 rupees, I don't mind, you shop to your glory. Now what would happen? You are at your happiest end. You go to the shops, you make the purchases, all you have to do is scratch the card. Now, English is this your friends, it is your plastic money. You go anywhere, you go to social circles, you go to upmarket societies, you go to hotels, resorts, clubs, MNCs, you meet people, you network, and if you have the power of English, there you go. You don't have to bother. Of course, even if you are a good communicator in your vernacular language and you are confident enough, then probably you do not suffer from the limitation of not knowing English. But friends, let us all know that English is the lingua franca of the world. Almost all the government bodies, almost all top management institutes or top educational institutes, the top research bodies acknowledge the importance of English. And hence, if you have the power of English, it's definitely your biggest weapon in your armor, which can allow you to fight the battles. And of course, if you come to analyze your jobs, almost all of us get our first jobs because of our hard skills. That is maybe because of our degrees, our qualification, our experience. But friends, there's a research which says that most of the employees lose their jobs because of the lack of soft skills. Your hard skills can only get you your first job, but your soft skills allow you to stay happily and progress on your job. So, but the fact is, these soft skills are often the hardest skills to conquer, to develop. And what are these hard skills, as I just mentioned? These are your experiences or your education, which has a hard copy to testify to. Whenever you go to a company and you say, I am an MBA, of course, there's a certificate which is a testimony to the fact. There's a hard copy which runs as an evidence. When I say that this is my 17th year of teaching, right, I have a letter which tells me that this is my experience. So your experience and education is your hard skills that can allow you to get the job. But later on, if you have to prove your mettle on the job, if you have to build good, healthy relationships, the soft skills are more important. And the foremost in the soft skills, according to me, is effective communication skills. You can also work on your other soft skills like decision making, attitude, time management, stress taking ability, and of course, your emotional intelligence. Maybe sometime in future, you can get into these topics also and find out for yourself. These are very interesting topics too to develop your personality. But our today's lecture is more focused on effective communication. Now, if I had to interview a few people who would have the same required qualification and experience, then I would definitely give more points for their effective communication skills. And hence, friends, it is rightly said that if other things remain constant, other things you mean, your experience, your talent, your degree, your educational qualification, your attitude, if all other things remain constant, then definitely communication skills can help you be more successful in life, both professionally and personally. So now let's work on this communication. So when you try to describe the communication, but before we go further to the terrains, deeper, trying to find out what is effective communication, I would again want to take a check with Dipti. Dipti, can you help me with the feedback? Is it going on smooth?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, darling. Yeah. So let's begin. Communication is an art and science both. Now, this is true for a lot of skills. For management, we say the same thing. For innovation, we also say that innovation could be an art and science. What do we mean by this term, art and science, friends? So now when I say science, communication is science, it means communication is banked on certain rules. There are rules for grammar, there are rules for punctuation, there are rules for syntax, that is the framing of a sentence, subject, object, verb. Now this is all which is in great measures taught in a school. A small child who goes to school learns all the scientific way of communicating as in his subject English. So when we grow up, we are pretty sure of our grammar rules, our punctuation rules, where to put up the nouns, how to use the adjectives, how to use the prepositions, right? And there are a lot of tests on science, on the scientific usage of communication. But friends, most of us lack in communication as an adult, or I would say lack in effective communication skills as an adult, is because communication as art is left best to a student's understanding. We do not have a lot of sessions devoted specifically to developing communication as an art. So what do you mean by communication? As in one, when we say it is artistic to be a good communicator. So when I say art, I mean a person's own subjectivity, a person's own manifestation of how he wants to encode the message. When I say communication is art, the same message might come in different artistic forms, in different verbal formats from different people. So a simple sentence could be made in the most complicated manner. It could be, the same sentence could be used with a lot of legal terms by a lawyer. It could be used by a lot of medical terms by a doctor, and it could be used by using a lot of highfalutin ornamental language by a poet or a writer. Today, friends, our focus is not on the use or the scientific use of communication. What I want you to understand in my capacity and in the limited time possible on this platform is understanding the non-verbal communication. So wherein the verbal communication is to a large extent to the words that we use, the verbal communication includes oral and written communication. When I look at the non-verbal communication, there are a lot of skills which make communication a beautiful piece, or rather a masterpiece coming from you. Well, you have to understand a few rules for this, a few thumb rules rather for this, and that is paralinguistics, kinesics, haptics, proxemics, and artifactics. Now, don't get confused with a lot of tics used here. It is a very simple formula, and it's a very I mean we all use this kind of non-verbal communication in our life to make ourselves more or understood in a better way, but we will take it more step by step. There are a lot of exercises that I want you to join me with and participate so that you can get the best out of this lecture. Now, why do we need to understand all this is because we all know that only 7% of the communication is through the spoken words. The rest, 93%, is by the other aspects of the communication that fall under the non-verbal parlance. So only 7%, we are doing so much of homework, we go to school, we are understanding so much of grammar, punctuation, reading a lot, remembering a lot, memorizing the rules, but that's just 7%. And the rest 93% is where we want to, or we should try to focus on so that we could be good communicators. Now let's try to understand these. The first one is paralinguistics, paralanguage as we call it. Now what is paralanguage? Now when we talk about language, our entire focus is on what is spoken. But when we talk about paralanguage, when we are talking about the paralinguistic skills, our focus is not on what is spoken. Rather, our focus is on how the words are spoken. Friends, when I use the word how the words are spoken, what I mean is how you modulate your tone, your pitch, what kind of stretch, कहाँ पे आप words को खींचते हो, what kind of stress do you give. Sometimes, as you say in Gujarati, कि कोई particular व्यक्ति बोले तो भार पड़े છે, right? That भार, that stress, that emphasis, that power, right? Where to pause. તમે જુઓ ઘણીવાર ફિલ્મ્સમાં after a very serious dialogue, there is complete silence. And that's the time the dialogues are the best delivered, or they have the most emphasis, or the most, I would say, the most impacting delivery is when you use the pauses in between. And of course, the intonation. Intonation is the rise and fall of pitch in your tone. So, paralanguage, the words that you speak might be the same, but you can transfer or you can interpret the message in various different fashions by changing your pitches, your stress, your pauses, and your intonation. Confused? You seem to be confused, friends. Now let's take up a quick exercise on this. This is my favorite exercise when I take up the soft skills classes. And this has been the standard old sentence that I've been using for almost now 15 years. Yeah. Now this sentence reads like this. Try to read it. All my dear audience, as and when we engage in this activity, I would be very privileged and I would be very happy if you can also read it along with me. So the sentence as on the screen, which is seen, reads something like, I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. Now you see, this is not the normal way we speak this sentence. Now assume that there's a party going on. There are 5-6 people who have been invited, the celebrities who have been invited for this upmarket party. And in this party, there's a diamond ring of a guest which is missing, and there is one steward, there's one waiter around who's called Nandu, right? And since the ring is missing, they call the police, right? They feel there is a theft, chori ho gayi hai ring, and they are interrogating everybody. Now, of course, because there are only 5-6 people and they are pretty good, well educated, pretty rich, well-to-do family members, the entire blame has to fall on Nandu, the waiter. So supposing each one of us had to give our statement and we had to use the same words, I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. We are all free to use our different intonations, pitch, stress. How would this sentence read, or no, how would we be able to listen to it in a different fashion? Now I have taken this in the next slide. I have highlighted a few words, made it more bold and given a larger font size so that you can understand what and how I want you to speak this sentence. Your entire thrust is now on this first word, I. This is a small syllable I, and your entire focus, your thrust, your pitch, the highest possible tone, right, is where you have to use only for I. And rest all the other words are spoken with a low tone. How would you speak out this sentence? I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. Come on, friends, I want you to practice it with me. So the I is being stretched out here. There's a lot of focus, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of emphasis on I. The rest of the words, તમે એક શ્વાસમાં બોલી શકો છો. So something like this. I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. Now, friends, when I say it like this, what does it mean? I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. Means, किसी ने बोला वो पक्का है. कोઈએ तो પાર્ટીમાં કીધું કે નંદુએ ring ચોરી છે, પણ એ વ્યક્તિ હું નથી, right? जब भी माँ घर पे अपने छोटे बच्चों के साथ खेल रही होती है और एकदम से चलो ग्लास फूट जाता है और माँ चिल्लाती है किसने ग्लास फोड़ा, right? One of the kids will say मैं નથી फोड़ियो, right? The moment we stretch मैं, right? जैसे हम बोलते ना मैंने ये नहीं किया, the stress is on I. So it means somebody else said that, but it was not me. So it's a different meaning. I hope you understand. I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. Now let's focus on the other way the sentence could be spoken. Here the stretch is on did not say. So how would you read this? Come on, read with me. I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. I repeat, I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. Now, what does this mean? It means that I mentioned it was me, or it was me who said something. It was I who said something that is pakka hai. Par maine bola nahi. I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. What does it mean? When the police said कि आपने रिंग किसके पास लास्ट देखी थी, शायद मैंने नंदू के सामने देखा या मैंने नंदू की ओर इशारा किया, पर पक्के से मैंने नंदू का नाम लिया नहीं. I did not say, right? So now when you say I did not say that Nandu stole the ring, and when you say I did not say that Nandu stole the ring, there's a lot of difference. Look at this. I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. I repeat, I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. Maybe someone else. So it is for sure that I mentioned something, but I did not name Nandu. Maybe somebody else in the party, but definitely not Nandu. Nandu is the most loyal, and so I would say I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. Now the emphasis here is on Nandu. Now let's say it in a different way. I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. I repeat, and please repeat it with me, all of you in the audience. I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. Now, what does this demonstrate? It definitely says that I mentioned something, I spoke about Nandu, but well, I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. Right, I just told that probably the last I saw the ring was with Nandu, or maybe Nandu picked up the ring when it fell on the ground, but definitely Nandu did not steal the ring. And let me put it in the last different manner. I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. Now you see, the first few words in the black have a lower tone or pitch compared to the highlight of the sentence, which is the ring. So I repeat, I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. Now there you go. Your interpretation of this sentence is completely different. It means I said something for sure. I did speak about Nandu, and I also mentioned that Nandu stole something, but definitely not the ring. Probably the neck piece or the mobile or something else. But definitely I did not say that Nandu stole the ring. So friends, this was a small activity for you to understand that paralinguistics play a very important role. The next time you wish your friend a happy birthday, there should be energies in your tone. The next time when you console your friend and you say that you are there for him all the time, your voice modulation should show the integrity of the sentence. If you are correct with your paralinguistics, most of the time your messages will be decoded in the right fashion. I hope you have enjoyed this activity. Are you ready for the next activity? Come on, now this is for you. The way we use paralinguistics is also called vocalics because it has a lot to do with your vocal boxes, the way you speak, the way you vocalize your emotion. So supposing on the same grounds, the way we did the previous activity, right? Now these are three statements. I didn't say that you are stupid. I didn't say you were stupid. I didn't say you were stupid, right? Now you see, your focus, your highlighting different aspects of the sentence definitely means different meanings out of what you want to convey. So next time you feel you were misunderstood, pay attention to your paralinguistics and probably the problem will be sorted out. So that was enough of paralinguistics. Let's move on to the next important part of communication, which is kinesics. Yes, friend, kinesics. Now, what is this? Kinesics is related to your body language, like posture, gesture, your movements of leg or limb or head, nods, and so on. So, kinesics plays a very important role. Quite often when we see students presenting in the class, we emphasize on the fact that you should be able to use some of your hand movements in order to make yourself clearly understood. Friends, as you all see, in the present scenario, when a lot of lectures, a lot of training, a lot of webinars, other things are going online, we fail to use our body language appropriately unless our camera are switched on. And that is the time you'll see a lot of emphasis is given to paralinguistics, right? But when you are standing in a face-to-face communication, when you are in a larger audience, you are seen. I think using your gestures, using your limb movements will in a large way connect with your audience and use this adequately. Of course, a small part, a segment of kinesics is oculesics. Oculesics is with the eyes. It's a subcategory of kinesics. It's how you communicate with your eyes, your eye movement, your eye behavior, your gaze, and a lot of things are communicated through the eye related non-verbal communication. Friends, let me very honestly tell you that a few of us who are good in communication should be able to convey this through your eyes. And as you say, your eyes are your mirror to your persona, to your feelings, to your internal emotions. A lot of things are conveyed through the eyes. So, whenever you talk to another person, try to manage your eye contact. I always tell my students when they are giving a presentation in the class that they need to rotate their eyeballs round the class and just not glance at their favorite few. Sometimes when you are communicating in a large audience, you get fixated on a small segment of the audience, like your family, your friends, maybe because you are comfortable looking at them. Don't do that. Make an eye movement fast round the audience. A small eye contact will get you or will help you get connected with your audience. So oculix is a part of kinesics. Well, body language, as I told you, is a nice way and is a very strong form in the non-verbal communication. Just go to a KG classroom where the kids have been told that if they had to answer in the class, they would better raise their hands and look at their energy levels. So all these kids have a lot of smile, so their face shows the confidence that they know the answer, or at least they want to try it. Just look at their eyes. They have that passion of answering in the class. Their hands, their facial expressions, their body movement, even while they are sitting, the teacher can well receive their enthusiasm to participate in the class. And that's the power of body language. So this is about kinesics, right? So as you can see, your body contact, your facial expressions, your hand movements, head movements, a simple nod. I'm missing those nods in my webinars these days. So mostly when I see the audience in front of me, I'm able to customize my sessions. I can change my plans, right? I don't get fixated onto the way that I have planned for the session, because looking at the non-verbal communication, your body gestures, I get my feedback, I get my signals of how and where I have to bring the changes. So you see your body language. Just look at this. When you try to act defensive, when you are arrogant, your folded hands, right? When you are annoyed and that great look in your eyes, when you are happy, you are irritated, you are confused, you are worried. Oh God, the body speaks it all, even before your words can convey. So the body language is a very strong part of our communication. The next comes, friends, is a very interesting topic, which is proxemics. Proximity, nearness. So what do you mean by proxemics? Well, our space also communicates. The way we use the space, the distance, the touch, that also has a communication. Friends, do you realize that in some Arab countries, they have different classrooms for the males and the females, whereas in some American classrooms, you might have a very close contact between a boy and a girl in the classroom. Now, this has to do with your knowledge about what kind of comfort can you gather from the space or the distances. When you communicate, friends, it's very important that you understand the zones of spaces. There are 4 zones: intimate, personal, social, and public. So now this entire study of space and how we use it, right, makes us feel more or less comfortable, and that also has to do with our communication effectiveness. Supposing you open the doorbell rings and you open the door and you see a courier boy and he comes very close to you when he delivers the parcel. I'm sure you'll feel uncomfortable. The same closeness would not be a problem when you are hugging your own friend or your sibling. So what is this knowledge about space? your intimate circle, that is the circle only used by the very near and dear ones. As you can see here, your intimate distances is only for your family lovers, right? Your family, your friends, your siblings, your lover, your spouse, your children, right? So this is the zone where only your family, your very near ones and dear ones can enter. Probably they can hug you, cheer you up, right? Touch your hands, your face, give a kiss on your cheek. This is the way to communicate as well. Whereas your personal distance is slightly more distant than your intimate space. When you know some of your acquaintances, maybe your distant friends, your neighbors, your faculty, that's the personal distance that you have to maintain. Social distance, when you are asked, when you want directions on the roadside, probably you would not come very close to a stranger. So that's the social distance we maintain. And the last one is the public distance. That is when you are addressing a group, right? Some There are sciences to the distances in quantitative terms. Just say in your public space, probably some 3 meters or more could be the space that you have to keep between. For example, if you are having a press conference, a stage show, that's how the stages are made, right? So that's the proxemics. Now, if you the study of proxemics is very important when you are making international communication, where entering certain personal spaces of a person might be taken as an offense. It might be certainly looked as unprofessional, right, if you enter certain intimate zones. So just check the next time you feel you need to work on your proxemics. You can definitely increase the effectiveness of your communication. The next is the touch therapies. The touch, as we say, the power of touch, that is called haptics. Haptics is how we use the touch in the communication. When we come into the physical touch with objects or beings, now a lot of sensations, a lot of emotions are passed when we touch somebody. Supposing you want to counsel somebody, a small touch of hand will communicate more powerfully maybe than the words. I'm sure all of you have seen this advertisement on the television for Vicks. So when they uh, launched this product, they also came up with a new science called the touch therapy. So every time the child has the close contact of a mother, which helps him with applying the Vicks ointment, right? That the child not only feels secure, he also feels the warmth of the mother's love, right? And so that is how Vicks propagated the idea of how and why it should be used, because the touch therapy here plays a very important role. Friends, you would be interested to know about a research which happened in US, wherein it was found that certain babies were consistently showing up as malnourished. Though they received the best of the nutrition from the mother, the best of the baby food, what they were missing was in their nourishment. And later on, through the cameras, it was found that the normal babies at home did not receive a lot of strokes, a lot of patting from their mothers. So these babies, when were held, were not given a lot of patting on their back, or they were not, or I could say they were missing on the strokes. And that was one of the reasons for their malnourishment. So friends, just imagine if you could just touch somebody, like for example, of course, there is a lot of science nowadays to the touch, the bad touch or the good touch, which is also taught in the counseling sessions at the school. But yes, you definitely know from the touch what the communication is all about. A handshake after a negotiation talks about the confidence or the trust that the parties have built on. A handshake after the cricket match, a small hug to your friend through the hands, right? A small cheering up, a small pat on your employee's back on saying or while praising him for his job also talks about the kind of trust that you have in him. So you see, friends, touch therapies work a lot. Of course, you have to use it with caution. Otherwise, they could go in the domains of non-professional or illegal activities also. Now, as we are coming to the end of our session, we would talk about the last of the elements in communication, which is about artifactics. For a long time, people did not give a lot of importance to artifactics because it was believed that communication is all about what you speak and how you speak. And so it has little to do with your surroundings or environment. But nowadays, a lot of research is happening on the power of artifactics. And it is the nonverbal communication which emerges from a person's accessories, such as dresses, fashion ornaments, objects that they carry. Like, for example, you could make out that a student is an engineering student from the books that he carries. You could make out that a person is a lawyer from the dress code or the uniform. Sometimes nowadays a lot of thrust is also being put on your body odor, like in social settings or environments, and hence a lot of personal grooming products like the deos and the perfumes are also finding their space in how effectively you can communicate through your body mechanisms. So your dress code, how you are dressed, right? There's a lot of pride in a lot of uniform that you wear. Recently, I was going through this very popular Netflix series about Delhi crimes, played by Shefali and Shefali Shah, yeah. And I was intrigued to know more about it, and I found out about the original inspector, that is Inspector Chaya Sharma. And while I was reading more about her, there was a small confession that she made. She said that the film was given a beautiful treatment to the case, the way the facts were revealed. But a very small and a very powerful point, very pertinently made by her, was that the director paid a lot of attention to the costume and the surrounding and the environments in the prison and the police station. She said that when she saw the movies in the past where they had to show the police force, little attention was given to the number of stars on the uniform or the color of the dress or the emblem on the cap, and that really disturbed her. But she was happy the way the movie talked about the artifactics. So here you see there's a lot of pride that goes in the uniform, the dress code. For example, if you are a counselor or if you are a doctor, just look at the fact, if you see a doctor with a very shabby table, the stethoscope lying somewhere beneath the books and a lot of files with a lot of dust on it, definitely I am sure you would not have a good opinion about the medical expertise of the doctor, because a lot of things are conveyed through how we present ourselves in the social environment, right? So this is all about the non-verbal communication. This picture beautifully encapsulates all the aspects that we have studied, except for chronemics. Chronemics is your communication of or through your time, the time element in your communication. I thought I could do away with it, and so I've not included it. But look at this picture, the personal appearance of the person in the white t-shirt sitting on the table. Things are very messy. It doesn't look very professional, right? He is frustrated with some reports, and that is well evident from his body language, wherein you can see the two females standing, proxemics. They seem to be very close buddies at workplace as they are sharing the intimate space. At the same time, through the touch, the female is expressing her thoughts on to the other female as to she should not show the document. So that's well conveyed through the just merely pulling the hand down or touching it, right? The vocalics, that is the paralinguistics of the person that is using the phone, asking somebody, how may I help you today? Right. At the same time, She, having a glance at her watch, trying to find out the time, talks about the chronemics. And so this is how your non-verbal communication drives home a lot of effectiveness. So that's the end of the lecture. So when you talk about communication, friends, one last topic is about the art of listening. When you need to communicate, I read a beautiful statement somewhere that the best way to talk was to listen carefully. Just imagine, the best way to talk was to listen carefully. Now, this art of listening, a lot of you listen to the webinars, to the online lectures. Just ask yourself, are we listening or are we just hearing? And then you would feel, what is the difference between to hear and to listen to? Well, ears definitely do not have shutter boxes. You do not have flaps closing your ears. So almost all the time, any sound from your environment falls in your on your ears, right? You are able to listen to that sound. I'm sorry, you are able to hear that sound. So any sound or noise which falls in your ears, right? You are able to hear that sound. Like, as you can see, there's a lot of honking of the vehicles, the movement of the fan, the AC, some noises in the background while I'm taking the lecture. So these are all the noises, the sounds that you can listen, that you can hear. But what is listening? Listening is not just hearing, it is something extra. So when you pay attention and try to listen to the sounds to make a meaning of it, right, then you can say, friends, that you are listening and not just hearing. So listening has to do with your attention. And in these current times of post-pandemic era, where we see the new normal is the online platform, online lectures, work from home settings for workspaces. All that we are using is a lot of screen and a lot of equipment to hear. But then you must be very, very alert to see to it that it is not merely hearing, it also is well listened to. And most people, whenever you are sharing your stories or when you want somebody to listen you out, the problem with the listening is most people do not listen with the intent of understanding your emotions or your trauma or your feelings. All they want to listen is to provide you with an instant reply or their instant verdict on the situation. So that's not good listening. There are times when you can just heal a lot of problems of people by just generously lending your ears to them. Just listen out is the way. I have heard about quite a few times that the most patient people are kept as the customer call center executives, because when you have a customer shouting at you, pouring out his problems in a very aggressive fashion, all that you want the executive is to first listen him out completely and then probably offer a solution or an excuse of as to why the problem occurred at the first place. So listen. And friends, if you look at these two beautiful words, just imagine, just look at the beauty of the English language. The words listen and silent are formed from the same alphabetical characters, right? So if you just had to listen somebody, just maintain silence and there you can completely understand your communication. So communication is not just about talking using the paralinguistics and kinesics and proxemics in the best possible way. Sometimes to communicate, you have to listen well. So that's that for my lecture class and my very dear audience. Thank you so much. And now I would like to go on my silent mode. Thank you for being with me in this webinar.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. I'm thankful to respected Nagarajan sir, CEO of Scope. I'm thankful to Honorable Sri A.U. Patel sir, advisor of KCG and former Vice Chancellor of Gujarat University. I'm also thankful to Mansa ma'am, Without her support, we cannot make this webinar successful. Thank you very much, Rachana ma'am, again, to join with us and share your experience and knowledge with us and with the youth of Gujarat. Scope is constantly arranging various webinars, e-quizzes, competitions, and workshops. Go through the Scope FB page every day to learn new words and make your vocabulary strengthen and get updated yourself for ongoing and upcoming program of Scope. Kindly fill up the feedback form. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us in this webinar. Thank you.